My name is Mundy. This is my kitchen. Welcome to Mundy's Kitchen, where hopefully you can eat well and save some money. Kind of important thing, a topic of discussion really, because let's face it, the price of groceries is going through the roof and probably only going to get worse. So thank you for clicking onto this video. I'm going to show you my top 5 jars or tinned things that I would recommend that you have in your own pantry to help you with cooking some delicious food. The first thing that I would recommend is a jar of curry paste. Now I happen to like green curry paste because I'm rather fond of Thai curries. I will give you a little segue and show you my spice trolley that I have. I promised that I'd show you my spice trolley, and here it is. I wasn't kidding that I have a lot of spices. I even have some below, but I'm not going to show you that because it's a little bit of a mess. But there you go. I'm very comfortable with using spices and making Indian type curries, but Vietnamese or some sort of, Thai curries, not so confident. So I would recommend a jar of this in your pantry. But handy tip, number 1, when you do open it, write down the date that you opened it in permanent marker before you stick it in the fridge. They do have a shelf life, but it could be lurking there for some time and then you might have to end up throwing it out, which is bad. Food, it costs money. So that's my first recommendation for a pantry staple to have on hand. The next thing that I would recommend for you to have in your pantry is some coconut milk. As before mentioned, if you're doing a curry or a stir fry or all sorts of things, actually, let me read you on the tin. Idea for curries, desserts and soups. And yes, it is. I again would highly recommend having a can or 2 of this in your pantry. Now, if you find that you're not going to use the 400 mils that comes in a can I recommend, handy tip number 2, that you pour the excess into one of these silicone ice cube trays and stick it in the freezer. Once it's frozen, put them into little plastic bags and use that marker again so that you know what it is. And yes, store it in your freezer. But anyway, coconut milk is the next thing that I would recommend that you have in your pantry. The next thing that I would recommend to have in your pantry is something tomato based. So I've got 3 different sorts of things here. I have a tin of diced tomato, I have some tomato paste and some tomato passata. Let me just describe why I have these. So this is great for adding to soups, adding to spaghetti bolognese, adding to curries, adding to dal. Very handy. The tomato paste, now admittedly this is not a concentrated tomato paste. The more concentrated ones cost more. But if you want to have a nice flavour, you can just add some different spices. It's okay. This is 500 grams. It's quite a lot. You get a lot of bang for your buck. But again, it's unlikely that you're going to use it all in one go unless you're making an enormous quantity of spaghetti bolognese. So again, these handy dandy little silicone ice cube trays, put the excess in, freeze it, stick it in a bag, write with a permanent marker what it is. All right, but this is great. Also good for if you're making your homemade pizzas or something. Good for soups, dals, all of that. Passata is also great if you're making a large quantity of spaghetti bolognese. Yes, it's probably the least useful thing in my opinion, but it's still handy to have on hand. So tomato-based products are the 3rd category of stuff that I would recommend that you have in your pantry. Category number 4 of important things to have on hand in your pantry are things like beans and pulses and lentils. They are a great source of fiber. They're very good for your gut microbiome. They're incredibly filling and just can stretch a meal so much further, especially if you have an uninvited or unexpected guest, I should say. So here I have some chickpeas. These are marvelous for just salads and great for dal and soups and stews, and you can also make your own hummus out of that. Black beans, another favorite, is for all the above mentioned things, including salads, but you can also add them to tacos. Excellent idea, or anything kind of Mexican. And lentils, a great way to bulk out things like mince, beef or chicken mince or something like that. If you add it with your passata or your diced tomatoes, no one's going to know that you haven't got so much meat in it, and it's probably healthier for you. But you can also use it for making salads or dals or any of those other things. Of course, there are many different sorts of beans that you can have, but yes, up to you. I just happen to have those in my pantry right now, but they're a really good staple to have on hand. And last but not least, something to have in your pantry is something fishy. So like a can of tuna. Now these are great if you want to have make your own fish cakes, if you want to add them to a salad, if you want to do a tuna melt, if you want to do something like a tuna sandwich or a tuna and pasta bake, all that kind of stuff. Use your imagination, go wild, but it's really useful to have some tuna or something fishy in your pantry. I also happen to like sardines and oysters. They're not everybody's cup of tea, but you do you. But I think it's important to have something like that to have on hand if you want to do something quick and easy, if you want to put it on a pizza, something like that. I do have a wonderful recipe that in the next little while I will show you how to do a dry, or rather a breadcrumb spaghetti, and you need some tuna for that too. So not this video, but something in the future. Just hang about, there's a limit to what I can do. Anyway, I hope you found that useful, all right? I hope that it encourages you to have some pantry staples, things that are not necessarily going to break the bank, but you will find useful. Now, a lot of these things, in particular the beans and the pulses and the lentils, you can obviously have dry versions of those too. The thing about those is that it does take a little bit of forethought and prep, like you need to soak them and you need to cook them. But at least if you have something like this on hand, you can whip up something in a quicker way. Anyway, I hope you found that helpful. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, all of that sort of stuff, and I will see you again soon. Bye.